Webinar starting soon. All right. So if anyone wants to join me, the reason I'm doing this is I'm a bit frustrated by being invited to webinars or online conferences, online presentations, whatever you want to call them. So many people are doing it and they're just doing them bad. And look, I call it, well, now refer to it as the dreaded webinar. Now there's one about to start. If you're, if you want to see what I'm talking about, and I'm sure it's going to be a replay of something that was played last week. And this is not some little company that's got no real interest in doing good quality video production or using video online to deliver a message. This is Vimeo themselves. Now this thing, and it's about to go live midday Australian Standard Time. So it's called, I'm not going to put their thing to line because, well, it's their intellectual property, if you want to call it that. And as much as I could use it for fair news and review, it's just not worthwhile putting line. But if you want to see it, just Google, what's the link here, Vimeo. Our webinar is The Marketer's Toolbox. Episode 3 starts today, and it's all supposedly about quality. What do they call it? Use video to cut through the noise. Now, I signed up for this thing last week and watched it. The person hosting, and this is no disrespect to the people, but as a company, the image this thing puts out is not great. The event starts in 5 minutes anyway, so if you just sign up for it, just Google Vimeo. Oh hell, I'll just give you the link. You can watch it yourself if you want. But my point is that video is a great tool. Zoom's a great tool. Sure, it's free. But just because it's free and you can send video and audio to anyone, anywhere in the world, does that make it worthwhile? Is that something you should be doing? Like, the way I look at it, free-to-air broadcast television is struggling to hold an audience these days. But still, you look at what they've got. They've got good sets. They've got good graphics. They've got good replays of whatever happened. And they're struggling to hold an audience. So if you're a company like Vimeo and you're talking about excellence in your field, is it enough to sit there in front of a dirty webcam where the camera's framed and shooting the ceiling? Like my little setup here, I do some pretty high-end stuff out of here. And have I got the latest and greatest of everything? No, I'm talking there to a Sony A6300, which, in fact, if I just put up the multi-view, you can see all the cameras that I'm using here. That's an A6300. Camera 2, well, that's an A7R with a 50mm lens on it. Not the latest and greatest. That one there behind me, that's an A7S 2. Hello. And the oldest camera of all of them is the one down there sitting on the slider. That's a first generation Sony A7S, which I bought at least 10 years ago. It's not the latest and greatest, but it's like anything. If you know how to use the tools, you're going to get a good result. So do I have the latest and greatest of everything here? No. That second-hand would be a couple of $100 worth of camera. But if you have the right tools, you can make good quality content. So why is it that an entity like Vimeo, like this thing here, use video to cut through the noise? Well, if you watch this thing, and I'm assuming, I may be wrong, I'm assuming it is a replay of what we had. By the way, like I say, graphics. Why do we still watch free-to-air TV? And why do we watch sports broadcasts? What's the difference between just watching a single camera or 14 cameras cut with awesome graphics over the top? Well, it's just that, it's quality. Now, okay, that's just a simple bug, but it's nothing to do with that. I'm using a cheap Vision switcher, Blackmagic A10, controlling it through a Elgato Stream Deck, which I use to control lots of things, including live stream, which is what the ultimate thing is that's delivering the signal to this YouTube live now. And it's not, I'm not presenting this as a webinar. I'm not trying to educate you or get you to buy my product or whatever. I just want to start a conversation about people lifting their standards, because like I say, there's a great example. Well, this thing on Vimeo is about to start, and it, as you'll see, and again, I'm assuming it is just a replay of the thing that I watched last week. But it's not just them. There's other companies like On24. They've got a guy who's their head of something or other, and he just gets on there and screams at you and tells you about quality. Oh, this is, and it's, don't just have some dude sitting there, or a bunch of dudes or people read through a PowerPoint deck or scroll through a PDF, which I've seen as well. There's a cruise company. My wife and I like going on really nice cruises, and I'll leave my graphic up there. Oh, it's starting in 47 seconds. Let's see how exciting this starts. I better turn the sound up in case it's really good. Stand by for quality. Hang on, I'll cut to the shot over my shoulder here. Hang on, let me go to my other switcher here so I don't lose my bug. Hey. So if you look over my shoulder here, using video to cut through the noise. Now, I haven't got their picture and audio patched in, but you can see it enough here, right? So this again is Vimeo, which is a product I use. I already, use it professionally. It's a great tool, but for them to be marketing themselves in this way, let's say they're presenting this as if us in Australia might not have actually seen or was registered for it. This event hasn't started. There we go. Who you'll be hearing from? Come on, start. But if it's just a replay of what went out the other day, the audio in the first 30 seconds is terrible. More from Vimeo Enterprise. Okay. Well, supposedly started at midday. Waiting. All right. Oh, on the count. Right. Come on, Vimeo, show us how good you are. How Vimeo, well, let's refresh the page. Refresh, maybe we've missed the start. Sorry, I don't like sledging people for the sake of sledging, and it's not sledging the people, it's sledging the company. If you're going to do this sort of stuff, do it properly, especially, it's not like their business is accounting or bookkeeping or something. This is their business. Come on. And again, it's called use video to cut through the noise. Right, a minute in. And just to reiterate, there's my wife and I like going on cruises. And there's a company that sells very high-end cruises. They had a webinar a couple of months ago, and they've got another one coming up. And these things you're talking about, they're multi-tens of thousands of dollars, some of them, to go on these very high-end cruises. And their concept of a webinar to try and sell you a, $10, $20, $30,000 ticket. They have two dudes sitting there, bad cameras, bad audio, and they scroll through a PDF. And they think that's selling. It's like, really? Anyway, so at the moment we're just waiting for, come on. Come on, Vimeo. No. Refresh. Using video to cut through the noise. Oh, it's starting to load. Yeah. Oh, plays a bit, then stops.
To talk about a couple of things, but here we have two experts, Jamie Jackson, Community Segment Manager at LinkedIn, and Maya Sachs, Director of Integrated Marketing at Vimeo. They will share how to create video content that stand out in today's saturated digital landscape. My name is Yawa Degwe, and I'm a Demand Generation Director.
Hear the audio feedback?
Today, I will
this is the way it went out a week ago, and now they're putting it out again now. Live webinar.
We are going to go through a couple of things.
Look at the graphics.
We'll dive into proven
dynamic
method for creating compelling videos that capture attention.
I'm going to turn the sound down because you don't really need to hear any more of it. But just suffice to say, it's not great, and it doesn't get much better than that. It's literally that much of a black screen, a postage stamp sized video or image of the person with crap behind them. This is not communication, folks. And you are a platform for delivering communication to people. It beggars belief. And like the excuse, to me, don't make a webinar. Oh, here we go. Stunning graphic. Create compelling videos. This poor girl, her camera's filthy dirty. She's sitting in front of a light or a window. It's all burnt out. My mantra for anything like this is give your audience pictures worthwhile looking at and sound worth listening to. That starts the first 30 seconds. Woo, 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 woo. There's feedback. There's feedback on the first 30 seconds of their presentation. Bad lighting. Crap graphics. Like seriously. And it's not that it's not expensive to do these things. Like, I'll give you a little example here. There's some wonderful tools for doing, well, lifting the standards of whatever you're doing. Like, for example, there's wonderful tools like from a company called Singular that if you wanted, like, if you were doing a sports presentation and you think, oh, you know, things like a Viz RT, and people in broadcast know what that is. And you think, oh, I haven't got the budget to do high-end graphics. Rubbish. See that there? That's an online tool called Singular. If you want to use it, it's $100 a month. At that level, there's a free version of it. And if you want to change, so if we're having big dollar company versus Interactive Rituals, where there's their lineup, I want to change to the second team, there's our team. Just generic names. But that sort of thing, take the graphic off again. And that's a web-based tool that costs you, at the high end, $100 a month. You don't have to buy hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment, which is what you used to have to do in the old days. And if we have a score of how we're going, well, let's bring on a scoreboard. And again, I'm doing this in real time. So Vimeo versus Interactive Originals. Well, what do we score them so far? Well, they haven't got good graphics. They haven't got good audio, but I think my audio's clean. Give me a point for that. Good graphics. And I'm doing this, and I could actually do this through a phone if I wanted to. Like to actually advance the graphics and scores. It's just, there's no excuse for not doing good quality production these days. Especially if you've got a product and you're going out to market and you're trying to appeal to people about the quality of your product, doesn't the product and your audience deserve something that's worthwhile looking at, something worth listening to? And I say that till I'm blue in the face to some people, but still, again, you get a company with the might and the dollars and whatever behind them, a Vimeo, and they think that's acceptable communication. So here we are 5 minutes in, and it's still create compelling videos. Oh, look, there's a graphic change. Black text on a white background. How do you strategize for a campaign, build out a story? I've tried to watch this, and they could be telling me that if I could sit through this for an hour, they'll give me $1,000. I don't think I could do it. I think I'd still fall asleep. And that sort of analogy, that's an analogy I've been using for a long time. It's like if you it all gets down to the storytelling. It frustrates the hell out of me. And bad communication has frustrated the hell out of me well, I've been producing content professionally now. I'm in my 44th year, and you might think, oh, Rod's a silly old goat. What would he know? Well, I know that is not the way to communicate about using video to cut through the noise. Anyway, just to reiterate, like if you've joined me late, the sort of things that I'm doing here now, these are not expensive tools. Actually, I'll just take those graphics off there. Over the top, the switcher is, you can get the baby version of that switcher for about 500 Australian dollars. I think it's down about 300 US these days. The cameras, you don't have to buy the latest and greatest. I don't bother. Just learn how to use what you've got, and be it a 10-year-old camera or a 2-year-old camera. Camera technology at this level has been awesome for a long time. And it's definitely worth a look at. You don't need the latest and greatest. You don't need to spend silly amounts of money. So to me, there is no excuse for turning out stuff like that. Anyway, I've ranted and raved enough. No one's joined me live, but that's okay. I'll put this up to be shared. And if anyone else wants to join me in the future and have a live chat about something like this, as I say, I'm just going to make it a series that I'll just go live periodically. And it's just, I just want people to stop making bad webinars. Actually, I saw a funny thing this morning. We know it's the political, politics in America at the moment is very hot. I've got the election coming up in November, and one of the right-wing journalists, and I bounce between both. I'm in the centre. I listen to both the left and right to hear both lots of propaganda. And one of the most respected, they've made a feature film about her. I won't even say her name. Watched one of her things this morning, and she gave a plug to her sponsor, and as she goes to plug a sponsor, the generic Adobe Premiere thing that Media Offline comes up, and this thing had 50,000 views. Now this is someone that produces a pretty slick show and is a great presenter. She'd be mortified, I'm sure. Anyway, I did drop mine saying, someone needs to check your content before you go live. Anyway, but it's just embarrassing. So anyway, I've had my little 15-minute rant here. I'd be interested in your feedback. Please send me your messages. And if there's anything you'd like me to talk about, how I do any of this, and I do this at compared to what I see online, we do this at a very high level with very minimalist, very basic sort of tools. It's something you don't need to spend mega amounts of money on. It's something you shouldn't be afraid of. But this is something you should aspire to. Something with good graphics, good audio, good lighting, good pictures. Fill the frame. And don't fill the frame with things like a window blowing up from behind you. And filling the frame, look at that graphic. How do you strategize for a campaign and build out a story? Yeah, look, the webinar came out of COVID, I guess, because we all had to communicate remotely. COVID's now 4 years ago. If we're going to keep making webinars, let's lift the standards and make them something worthwhile looking at, listening to, and something that communicates, not this. Anyway, best of luck to you all. Drop me a line about anything about what I've talked about here. Bye. And cutting my stream now. See you later.